Host.
Santy Hernandez.
And on today's show, we have a special guest, Jessica, who is a high school student living in the Canal neighborhood of San Rafael. Now, for those who may not be aware, the Canal is an area in San Rafael that is heavily populated by Latino people of all backgrounds. I personally lived in the Canal for a couple of years, and it's great to have someone from the Canal to be here with us today and just going to share her experiences living in the Canal. But thank you so much for being on the show today with us, Jessica. Could you just
Mhm.
introduce yourself to the audience?
Hello, everyone. My name is Jessica. I'm a sophomore at Marin's community, and I grew up in San Rafael in the Canal area, and I've been living there since my whole life.
That's awesome. So we're really excited to learn more about your experiences living in the Canal, and just
Mhm.
just getting to know you more. But before we get into the whole canals area, I was wondering, what is your favorite place to eat in San Rafael?
My personal favorite, like Yusheng, also I really like that it's really close to where I live.
Mm-hmm.
I personally really like their sushi, especially dragon roll. That's like my all-time favorite.
So you really like sushi?
Yeah,
Where's Yusheng?
It's on
it's
Kerner.
yeah, near
Kerner
Pelham.
Boulevard. Yeah.
Yeah,
Near
uh-huh.
near Cardenas Market.
Yeah,
Mm, is it like from the old studio going straight at the
Yeah,
corner?
it was where our old studio used to be located. Near there.
Yeah,
Yeah. Right down the street.
their sushi is good. I used to go
yeah, it is.
every almost every Friday. I after the studio, I would get sushi there with yeah, with a friend.
Yeah, the funny thing is, I actually am very good friends with the daughter of the owner of that restaurant. Um,
Mm.
so I've always been supporting that place ever since I learned that. I was like, oh wow, your dad's the owner of that place? I'm like, yep. I was like, I never knew. So I always end up going over there if I want to get like some Chinese or Vietnamese food. It's really good. But
Yeah.
how about you, Santi? What are your favorite places to eat?
Oh God, that's so hard. I used to love. I still do soul food.
Oh,
Um, and it's been one of my favorite places. It's very popular now, but when we used to go before it got so busy, now the line is so long. But I love the food. Um, and the place that she mentioned is really good.
yeah.
I don't have a top one in my head. I love food very much. I've learned to enjoy different types of food. When I first came here, it was hard for me to enjoy food, but now I'm like very open. Oh, and Philly's giant burger is my favorite
Ooh,
burger.
that's a really great burger place. Yes, highly recommend that one.
Where's that located at?
Near
Near the
Round
Mc,
Table in Santa Fe.
do you know where the McDonald's is in San Rafael? Like near like San Anselmo?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's literally past the McDonald's.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's still in Santa Fe area. Once you pass over, it's San Anselmo, I think.
Yeah.
Um, but it's a really good place. I love the food there. What about you, Javier?
For me, it's gotta be Thai Express. I really like Thai food. Um, and Thai Express is a restaurant that's on Fourth Street. They just have like the best Thai food.
Okay.
It's
I
really
need
good, big portions, big good bang for buck. The people there are really nice too. I don't know. I love that place. That's like my go-to, and it's right in front of the Double Rainbow Cafe, like the Double Rainbow ice cream place.
Mhm.
So it's always works out so well because just eat some Thai food and you just get ice cream with friends after. So it's really nice.
yeah.
But all right, well, thank you guys for sharing.
Yeah.
Moving on, Jessica. So when did you move into the Canal neighborhood, or have you been here? Well, you just mentioned you were here since you were born. Um,
Yeah, I used to live right in front of those apartments near Canal Lions.
Oh,
oh,
Right.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah, I used to live right there, but once I turned 6, I moved more further, right onto Novato Street.
Oh, Novato Street. Oh, interesting. So you live on Novato
where's
Street.
Yeah.
Novato Street?
It's mm,
It's kind of hard to describe. It's kind of because Canal, the way Canal's kind of like laid out is like it's all different streets, but the streets are really deep.
yeah.
Um,
Is it near Pickaway Park? I think that's where I
No, it's
no.
near. Oh, okay. I don't know
Mm,
where it is.
It's
But keep
kind of
going.
it's kind of near-ish to like there's this market, the oh my God,
Mi Rancho?
Mirancho, yeah. Is it called
Yeah.
Mirancho now? I thought it was Mi
Yeah,
Tierra
it's still
before.
called the same thing.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, it's like near that. Kind
Okay.
of, kind of. Uh,
Hmm.
but how would you describe your neighborhood? How would you describe Novato Street? Because personally, for me, what I've heard is that Novato Street is like where all the like violence is, and like where there's like a bunch of like
Uh,
stuff going on. Like that's what I used to hear before, but I don't know how it is now.
yeah. I mean, I still hear that. Like a lot of people, like if when people ask me like, where do you live? I'll be like, oh, I live like in Canal. They'll be like, oh, like that's scary. I'm like, no. Like I personally would describe Canal as like it's full of like you mentioned, it's full of Latinos, which I personally really love because like I could literally walk outside and then everyone like I can name every person. I can't name them, but like I'll know everyone in the neighborhood. Like I'll be like hola, ¿cómo estás? You know, like talk to them and make conversation. Like everyone knows each other. And like I feel like if you ever have a family member that dies and you guys have a funeral, like everyone will come together and you know, like support each other, which I also really love.
Yeah, no, that's a huge part of the Canal neighborhood. And when I was living there,
Hmm.
I definitely felt that like sense of community, and connection with
Yeah,
everyone. Like even like you would call some of the people like your tios or something, even though they weren't even your
yeah,
uncles, right? Um,
yeah,
so like stuff like that's really nice to hear. And like I say, I agree with you. I think Canal is definitely not as bad as people make it out to be.
yeah. Like
Um,
I mean, there's times where like a lot of incidents may happen. Like I could share with you guys like a small story that happened like about two like a week ago or so.
yeah, no,
I
sure.
like I came home around 5 and I got dropped off like right on my street. And the person that like had dropped me off was like, be careful, there's like some guy with a machete.
Oh,
And so, but I didn't like see the guy. So I got off and like I went home. And right after, like I could say like 20 minutes later, everyone like was outside. And then my parents like saw and then they were like, what's going on? And so my dad went to go check it out. And supposedly that the guy that had the machete tried killing one of his friends with it, and like the
jeez.
street was raided with cops and everyone was just there like looking like what was going on.
Dang, that is a
Yeah,
crazy story. Wow.
and it's just like scary thinking about it, just the thought of like a machete, it's like what.
Yeah, like someone just walking around casually with a machete, it's really
Yeah.
scary. You know, 'cause
Mm-hmm.
ever since I moved out from the Canal, I still have like all of my friends are from Canal, so I still keep up with how the Canal neighborhood's been doing, and they tell me like the worst thing that's happened in their street, they all live on like Kerner, is like just
Yeah.
like car crashes basically. There's like a
Yeah.
car crash like every other week or something, and that's kind of like the
Mm-hmm.
biggest thing.
Yeah.
But how about you, Santi? Did you have any questions you wanted to ask Jessica?
Yes, I just wanted to say thank you for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
I think in every place there always are stories like that.
Yeah.
With us, even I live in Terra Linda, and it's considered one a very nice neighborhood. And like we look on next door, and it's like people robbing into their garages. Like there was a car stolen here. So when I hear that, I always say I think in every area it's never 100% safe, um,
Yeah.
but the community, depending on the community, if you're connected and support one another, you will, you know, be cautious and let each other know. With that being said, though, I do miss that part of community. You said that you talk to your neighbors, you know them. I remember growing up, that was how it was. Now that I live in Darlin, that I actually don't talk to my neighbors, which is so
Mm-hmm.
sad. Like in front of me, I don't talk to the neighbors. She moved in uh, very recently, and we haven't even talked. It's just everybody's so reserved. So it does remind me a little bit back home in Guatemala how the los vecinos would always be connected with one another. So that's so cool.
Yeah.
I do want to ask you though, what are some of your favorite places to hang out in the Canal area, and why?
One of my like I mean there's not a lot of places that you could really hang out at in like Canal, But one of like the places that I really like to enjoy going is like walking around the bay, like
Mm,
Mm.
yeah.
mostly like around the sunset time because it looks beautiful. Like the sunset is awesome. And it's also like if you're like going towards the bay, you can easily like walk to Target. So that's like one of the good things about it.
Yeah, that place is
I agree.
awesome. Yeah, that place is really awesome too for like running or like biking too, because it's just like a
Yeah.
straight path, you know. And it takes you
Mhm.
like all and down. Yeah, that's a really great area. What do you think about pickleweed?
Oh, pickleweed, I feel like the playground has like it's had its own glow up. Like way back, like before it doesn't
Yeah.
really look like how it looked like it did before. The playground is much better. And I feel like the way they put the gates up now, it's like more secure for the kids.
Yeah, I haven't been.
Wow.
Yeah, I haven't been to the new pickleweed park yet. Like I've seen how it looks. I mean, it's like green and like purple
Yeah.
now or something
Uh-huh.
like that, right? It's like
Uh-huh.
some different colors. I remember when it was all like some of the things
Brown.
were just yeah,
Yeah.
all the things were just kind of like coming off. Like that's the one I grew up
Yeah.
in, right? But like
Yeah.
it was cool seeing that glow up for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I grew up with the older version of Bickley Park. Over time
Yeah.
it's gotten better, and I think I love that they did that for the community because when I grew up in Canal, so I grew up in Canal too for a small period of time,
Yeah.
and we lived in apartments, and there wasn't really a backyard that you can play with your friends or your siblings. So having that park accessible for families, I think, is so important because you have that freedom to run and play, and I'm
Hmm.
glad that they did invest money in putting that together for the community because it is the communities. um,
Yeah.
Speaking of the change of Piccoli Park, how different is it today, Canal, than it was before, if you remember?
Mm.
I can give you an example. I know that more recently you can see people selling things on the street like food,
Yeah, that.
um and it's gotten a lot more popular over the years. So that's an example that I noticed growing up, and I think Javier was the one who brought this up, that there are more vendors out there, and I do feel like it's a bit more safer than before because there is one street in front of Piccoli Park, that long street that goes down all the way to the bay, that I remember we weren't allowed as a family to walk very late that during that time because there would
Hmm.
be people, there was a lot of gangsters back in the day with us. So I've seen that it's transitioned a bit more. However, I don't live there anymore, so I
Yeah.
wouldn't know if that has changed a lot. But I do remember the difference from what I remember living there.
Yeah, I also would say that like there's a lot way more vendors. Like there's some like around the corner. There's always like way back I could remember like paleteros wouldn't really come very often, but now it's like there's way more.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
and there's
cool.
that you know that the one that I've seen grown like over the years, it's like that food vendor that's on Kerner, like that's always in the corners of Kerner. Like they have like the rainbow like little
Cotton candy.
no, it's like they sell like
The Rainbow Umbrella.
raspados, mangonadas, like the chips, chicharrones, all that stuff.
Oh yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah. I've noticed that like kind of like food wasn't like definitely not as popular to like sell on the streets before
Yeah.
than it is now, you know.
It was more
Hmm.
the ice cream cart.
Yeah.
That was the most popular back in the day.
Yeah.
And
And
now it's kind of transitioned. And I think the other day I went and in front of, I think it's still Kerner, all along that they were in front of the apartment buildings, like a family was making their own raspados in front of their apartment, which
yeah,
is interesting.
there's a lot of people just like making food like outside their houses and stuff. Like I
It
think
gives
that's
Yeah.
a little bit of vibes from LA. If you go to a lot of people have a different perspective of LA. I have like two versions of LA, and there's a version of the Latino LA that
Yeah.
families living there, and it's like the streets are full with vendors, and it gave so Canal now it gives me a little bit of a vibe of LA, that side of LA.
Yeah. And I think it's just because the streets have gotten so much safer now. So like vendors feel a lot more safe selling
And
stuff there.
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
All right. So I just wanted to give a couple announcements real quick before we move on to the second half of the show. You can text Marin to 741-741 for free confidential 24/7 support that cares both in English and Spanish. And there's also the Clean Slate program in Marin County that is going on. This is a walk-in clinic that helps clean up your criminal record, clean your juvenile record, housing assistance, adult education programs, and a lot more. This clinic will take place on June 1st from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Multicultural Center of Marin, which is located at 709 5th Avenue, San Rafael, California. But yeah, that's just kind of a few little announcements that we had. Santy, did you want to transition us into some other questions you'd like to ask Jess?
Yes, so I did mention before the park how they remodeled it for the community. And I want to ask you, Jess, does the neighborhood that you live in right now have all the facilities / opportunities that you need? Or do you wish there was different ones around?
I've always like thought about this, and I've talked to Kimberly about this like so many times. Like again, the gym, the closest one is in Terlinda, and do you guys know where like the plaza is? Like where it's there's Ross, and then there's a grocery store.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
yeah, so I've always realized that whenever they like a store shuts down, it's always a furniture store. And I feel like if they were to make it like a gym, a lot of people would use it. Like it'd be really useful, especially kids. It's in Santa Fe, it's in Canal, and like a lot of kids would like easily could walk to it instead of like trying to find a ride to come to the Y.
Wow, you actually brought that up earlier, like you at the gym and the Y. I thought of that too. I realized that there isn't one in Canal.
Yeah,
There isn't one. And I thought about you either go to Terlinda or go to Corte Madera
yeah,
area, and you find a gym. And that is a bit, I definitely think it's something that would be very successful
hmm
in the Canal area for a lot of youth and even adults too who
yeah.
love to work out, and to give them that opportunity would be really awesome. And again, you mentioned the transportation system. How is that? Is it affordable, good, reliable?
I feel like yeah, it's pretty affordable, especially because the school provides us with our school pass and gives us a sticker on it. If you ever like need the bus, if you use the bus to give you a sticker on it, so you could like you don't have to pay when you get on the bus.
Wow, okay, that's good.
Mhm.
Although at least that is affordable for students mainly, because I know that
Yeah,
when you're at school, your head is not really at working as much, although there are students who do work. So being able to have that opportunity to use the bus
yeah,
to go to the gym or do whatever you need is super good.
yeah.
um
But oh, I have to.
oh no, go ahead.
Okay, but for example, like if you were to go to like San Francisco, you'd have to pay like $6 to get on the bus to get to San Francisco,
Right.
which I feel like sometimes it's like $6. It's like I feel like that's just too much.
Yeah, see, the thing about like San Francisco is that they have to find a way to like tax people or like just charge people for going across the bridge. Because
Yeah.
like if you're going in your own personal car, you gotta pay the toll bridge anyways.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but I totally like feel you. I feel like if you're going by bus, it should be a lot cheaper than having
Yeah.
than if you're not gonna go on your personal car.
hmm
Yeah, I agree. And also like the bus, like the way that buses run in San Francisco is very different from how they run here in San Rafael.
Yeah, it is very different.
It gets super complicated, and also sometimes
Yeah.
that the prices are like even more expensive over there just because it's in the city.
hmm Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing. Hopefully
Yeah.
that we come up with the system on to make things more affordable for everybody. Especially right now with everything happening, it's getting a lot harder for families as well. So just keep those things in mind. Transportation is really important today because everything is in so many different places. It's not just in our
Yeah.
country. My last question would be, what do you like about the Canal community?
I think you asked this.
Did I?
I'm not sure if you did, but I mean, again, I think I mentioned it. I really like how it's full of like Hispanic people, and like everyone gets really along with each other. Like everyone knows each other.
Yeah, I think Javier asked a similar question.
Yeah.
But I would like to share what I like about the Canal community, and it's also
Yeah.
that you know, you're with your people. As much as I don't like categorizing anything, but I feel
Yeah.
that being in that type of culture is just very unique. Right in my street, I think we're one of the very few Latinos that live in this street, and we're the loudest. I think I like to say we're the loudest, because you will hear me working out aside playing cumbia, merengue, or
Yeah.
phone, and
Uh-huh.
and it's so funny because I'm like, when I walk down the street, sometimes I hear my music and I'm like, oh, and then but yeah, and I definitely miss that. I have a very, you know, one thing I really disliked growing up, or growing up now, is that a lot of people throw shade at Canal, like it's the worst place, I never want to go back. And one thing that my mom showed me, and I appreciate that she showed me this, was that my story started in Canal, and I will always be grateful for Canal. It taught me a lot of things, and
Yeah.
still to this day I would love to continue help Canal, because in reality is a lot of our families come to Canal because it's still somewhat affordable to compare to going out. So I do have a special place for Canal, and it's awesome that you're still there. I know that with community working together, we can make it a much better place than it already is. With that being said, though, I'm gonna hand it off to Javier.
Thanks, Santy. So I actually wanted to ask you, kind of track back to what we were talking about before, about like how you had that guy with the machete, right? And how people still think Canal's kind of like a dangerous place. What do you feel are some other like underlying issues you've seen in the Canal as of late, other than I guess crazy guy running around with a machete? But like, have you like seen anything or noticed anything in the neighborhood recently that's been kind of problematic?
There's always gonna be like gangsters, I guess, people who see themselves as gangsters or whatever. They're always gonna be like around the street, just walking around, like, and sometimes even like around 12 or like late at night, sometimes you can just hear gunshots like just fire like out of nowhere. And to me, it's like I'm used to it. It's happened a lot of times, so it's like whenever I just hear, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, but I feel like also there's a lot of people who don't get along with other people like around Canal. And like if they ever come across each other, like they'll try to pick a fight and like, you know, throw shade at each other and just make it all a mess. But I wouldn't really call it dangerous.
Yeah, no, definitely not compared to a lot of other like neighborhoods. I think Canal's probably the tamest, you know, and the people and like talking about like our generations, like how they started here. There's a lot of prejudices still like against like other Latino people, because you know how Latino people, they don't always get along with each other, right?
Yeah.
If they're from like somewhere else, like a certain like a different country or something, or have like some existing prejudice or something, like that all that stuff's starting to die off, you know. And the good thing is that a lot of like our generation, right, like us much younger people, have come to terms and understand like all of that is like silly, you know. It's all kind of it's all kind of shouldn't be there. So it's mostly I mostly see either like the people who are like immigrants who are like brand new, right, to the Canal community, or just older generations that are still kind of fighting that way. But yeah, hopefully in the future, you know, that stuff can be improved, and I think we are seeing some improvements. So Yeah. And also, I just wanted to say I didn't get a chance to comment on this, but I think the gym idea that you have, like having a gym in the canal, would be very, very beneficial. Because
Yeah.
the shopping center that Jess is talking about, for those that may not know, it's like where the Ross is, where the Mi Familia Taqueria is,
Yeah.
and they just opened a grocery store there, right? Have you had a chance
Mhm.
to visit it?
Yeah, it's like I could say it's like it's very much like Cardenas.
Mm.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, though. The canal has enough grocery stores.
Yeah.
We don't need another grocery store in that plaza. Like
Yeah.
that space could have very well been a gym, you know?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, you're right. We do have a lot of grocery stores in Canal. There's
Yeah.
Cardenas,
Smart and
There's
Final.
Miquiera.
Smart and
Smart
Fine.
and Final also
There's
Smart
a
and Final.
couple ones. That's so interesting.
Yeah, and
And
it's
Smart and Final is kind of close to the grocery store right on near Ross.
yeah,
Oh yeah,
exact.
it's
Yeah,
literally on the like
it's not
opposite
that far.
streets.
Yeah.
So the way I'm looking at it is that a lot of the people who are making these projects happen, or a lot of these things like just go through, probably
Mhm.
don't live in the canal. They don't live in the canal,
Yeah.
and they don't know what the people actually want there.
Hmm.
And it looks so different now too. Like it's all like that plaza. Like I saw that they put like wooden like signs now, and they
Hmm.
made it look more
Yeah, they
modern.
changed it. Yeah.
Yeah, but the Ross still looks the same.
Yeah, it looks really the same.
It's still all the same. But are there
Yeah.
other like projects maybe that you'd want to like let, I don't know, the mayor of San Rafael, like whoever's in charge of these projects, to like
I
also
would
look
say
into?
maybe like a youth center for like kids.
Mm. Well, is
How
Like
would
it?
if
that
they
look
ever it would be like a program like where they would help like kids with their homework or stuff like that and like provide them with any help that they really need.
like? Mm.
Yeah, 'cause that isn't that real? Isn't that kind of like what the Canal Alliance tries to do, or
Yeah.
or the Pickleweed community? I mean, I don't know how much happens at the Pickleweed Community Center, but
I don't really, I'm not sure.
it's not.
But the Canal Lines has helped a lot of people. There was this like thing that they were doing a couple, I think like about 2 months ago.
Uh-huh.
They were like, it was big. Like the line was like from Canal Lines to like all the way near like going towards Mitiera. It was like they were helping like people who were undocumented get like papers or something like that.
That's awesome. Well, that's
Hmm.
great to hear that's at least going on. But I agree with you. I think San Rafael in general has an issue of just not having places for youth to like hang out, like really fun
Yeah.
places, I would say. Like there's no like little like, I don't know. For me, like the only thing I could think of to hang out is like what, the Northgate Mall, but the Northgate Mall is
Yeah.
like closing
Is
down.
yeah. Can you guys give me a second? I need to get a charger.
Oh, you're okay. We're actually about to be done with the show in just 1 minute.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
you're all good.
Okay.
But Jessica, did you have any last words for the audience today, and anything you wanted us to know before we end the show?
No, not really.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show with us today, Jessica. Santy, did you have anything else that you wanted to say?
No, keep going. I don't know if you're gonna start your workout right now. Have fun,
Yeah.
enjoy it, and we're
Thank
gonna get
you.
a gym and Canal. You brought that idea, and
Thank
Yeah,
you.
we're gonna get those
people who are
ideas one way or
watching,
another. Yeah,
listen. This is what the community
this is
wants.
what the canal needs, and
Yeah,
you made a great point today.
and thank you
Um,
so much for joining us
Yeah,
today.
of course.
all right.
Yeah.
Well, take care, everyone. We'll see y'all next week, and thank you all for watching.